Sebastian, thank you for coming out. I know you're flying out today, and I just barely caught you. Timing was just about right, but I appreciate you coming here to the studio.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
So you were telling me you were originally from you're from here, Silver Lake.
Yeah, I'm from Los Angeles. Was here 25 years before I decided to leave. Let's see. There we go. Grew up with a sports background. I was playing a lot of sports. I went to USC on a baseball scholarship.
Nice.
And really got the whole Southern California experience before I was just like, all right, I got to try something else. So I got hired by a website startup. I don't know if you're familiar with the Chive. But,
I've heard of it.
Yeah, they were based in Venice Beach for a year before they decided to move the whole company to Austin. And so I went out there and worked with them for 7 years, and it was a blast. That's where I started photography because we sold a lot of T-shirts and a lot of product shoots. And those product shoots turned into more of like, hey, we need to do a huge shoot to kind of tell a story to kind of sell the product.
Right.
And so that led to us, flying in models from all over the country. I wore a lot of hats in that company, and one of them was a talent manager. So I would essentially recruit models from basically anywhere in the country. And it was pretty nice.
Yeah, of course.
When you have, the handle and it's 1 million followers and you can essentially reach out to anybody in the country and
that's
be like,
a lot of power.
Oh my gosh.
That's so much power.
It was insane. And we were doing so well back then, and my boss was just like, yeah, just anybody you want. Anybody you want. So literally you're scrolling and you're like, oh, she's an attractive model. I wish I could meet her. I would just, okay, we have a shoot. Do you want to come out? We'll pay you. We'll fly you. We'll put you in a hotel. And 100% of the time they said yes. So, we were working with the UFC ring girls, Playboy models, everybody. So that kind of led into me knowing a lot of girls in the industry. And when COVID hit, unfortunately, the company had to downsize. But I just saw it as an opportunity. It was kind of the push I needed to jump into the photography game. And since I already knew so many models,
your black book was
full.
Yeah,
and also coming from Southern California, you meet a ton of people here too.
Of course.
So it was an easy transition. Like I said, it was kind of the push I needed to get this going. My wife, she has always been encouraging me to not forcefully, but politely telling me, hey, you should leave the job because you're so good at this stuff. Yeah. And I was very hesitant, health insurance, all those variables that really count, that you depend on. But they had to let me go. And then I was just like, okay, I'm on my own. And it's just booming now. With COVID, the business just went skyrocket.
Well, first I got to say congratulations.
Thank you.
And I trip because people get comfortable at a job for so many years, and it's like they know they should change. They know they have better talents. They know there's better opportunities, but they get comfortable with that insurance and that medical and that paycheck. And nobody wants to take that risk. But the moment people, execute and just do it for whatever reason, it's always positive.
Oh yeah, it's a little scary at first because I've never worked for myself.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed my job. I thoroughly enjoyed going to the office every day. I was kind of on my own schedule. So they were very lenient with me. I was there for 7 years. I was the 15th employee hired. So they just let me do my thing. And I was also, making pretty good money. So I was happy. But at the end of the day, I realized, man, I still every day, 9 to 5, I was going in every day. And my wife, Jenna, was just like, now you don't do that at all. I'm at home now all the time, and it's great. I love it.
Does she ever travel with you and go on photo shoots?
Yeah, she's a model. She's got 1.7 million followers, so
nice.
she definitely has figured out the system, figured out the algorithm. She definitely specializes in social media. And with her encouragement, I felt confident because she was just like, hey, do what you want to do with this industry. I got you covered in any emergencies. Don't worry about it. So that really gave me a sense of like, okay, you can try things, and even if I fail, it's okay.
Yeah,
because she's got my back.
Yeah,
so that's a little help.
That's a lot of help.
Yeah, that's a lot of help.
That's a lot of help, and that's encouraging.
Oh yeah,
and she doesn't get. Here I'll just
that was her. That's her right there.
Oh, that's your. I was gonna say she doesn't get jealous of you putting her picture on.
That's the thing. So before I met Jenna, a lot of the females that I was dating or associated with, they never liked what I did. they were always telling me, hey, you know, can you stop doing that? Or can you quit your job? I don't really like you. You're always around girls with bikinis and lingerie. And I'm a very professional guy. Like, it's a job, and I have a good eye, and I'm confident in what I know and my abilities.
Yeah.
And it's never about meeting girls. For me, it's about
Of course not.
getting amazing artwork, amazing content for these people who are they're paying me, essentially. So I bring my A game all the time and keep it as professional as I can. Whereas, you know, there's a slight stigma in the industry about guys just doing it for other reasons, which I understand when these girls are just so popular and a lot of people want to meet them. But I just give off the professional attitude when I'm there. And Jenna has trained me of what models like and enjoy and what type of people they like to work with. And I've just taken notes and I've applied it. And it just returned customers. It's happy clients.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, I guess that's in everything, but like when you're just around certain people, fuck it. When you're around certain foods, you know, you just kind of get like, you know, it's normal. It's not a big deal anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I can imagine, like, you know, when you get started or like when I saw your account, I'm like, whoa, this guy's around this. How does he even focus? You know, how does he control his aperture ring? You know, you start losing your mind. But once you're around it enough, it just becomes
second nature. Essentially.
Here, I'll give you. This is such a weird example, but I'm like known for such weird examples. I hang around. My nationality is Cuban, but I hang around a lot of Armenians.
Okay.
And when I started going to like birthday parties and weddings and all this stuff, if you look at their tables, like the food they serve, it is amazing. It's always salmon. It's always white fish. It's always barbecue. It's always
right.
I mean, you lose your mind.
Right.
But then you start going to so many events and it's the same food over and over and over. Next thing you know, it's like 3 years later and it's like the same. Like, is this the same? It's like three kitchens.
Very similar. Yes.
And now it's like, it's not even a big deal. But when I bring friends are like, whoa, this is the best. I'm like, dude,
So yeah, sometimes people come like, hey, can I assist you for the day? I'm like, okay, you can come assist me for the day. And they're just amazed that I'm in a house in Malibu. There's like 15 girls there waiting to get shot, all in their bikinis or lunch, and they're just mind blown. Yeah. Whereas me, I'm just thinking about my settings. I'm thinking about backdrops. I'm thinking about lighting.
What room?
Yeah, where are we going to shoot?
You're like, fuck, this Malibu houses have too many windows.
Too many windows.
Reflections.
It's too bright here. No, but yeah, that's where I was yesterday. We were shooting in Malibu the last 2 days, and it was just incredible. We were in Malibu Canyon, up on the hill. Can oversee, you know, the ocean, and it was a great shoot.
So what's your process now? How do you, obviously you get the models because you're already known and you're pretty popular. But how do you get your locations? Do you have what's your team consist of?
Yeah,
and then the main thing that I really want to focus on too is your equipment. Because recently I know so many people getting into photography.
Right. You got a pretty good setup here too. I'm very impressed, I got to say.
Oh, thank you so much.
Because I've been on a few podcasts and it's just been like, hey, hold your iPhone up to your mouth.
And hilarious.
So it's like, you know, I've done them all.
The video I just to give you a quick thing, the video I just started because people were saying use the video to get clips out of it and advertise your clips.
Right. Great idea.
The audio is something where I just thought to myself, I'll watch a shitty video with good audio, but I won't watch a good video with shitty audio.
Right.
You know, so that's why I kind of focused on that part first.
And you're just stepping up your game. You know, you evolved just like I did. I mean, this gives you a real professional feeling here instead of kind of like an amateur, like, oh, I'm just going to his apartment. You know, when you said you're coming over to your place, I was like, oh, am I coming over to his condo or his house?
My bathroom.
Your bathroom. It's the quietest in here.
My roommates are sleeping, man.
Yeah, but then I show up here and I'm like, oh, this is legit, you know?
I appreciate it.
So yeah, this is awesome. But you want to know my process.
The process and your bookings and your location, scouting, and your team.
It's definitely evolved over the last 2 years because I know that when I first started, you got to put in the work at the ground level. You can't just jump into it and think you can charge $1,000 a shoot with really no following or no portfolio to really show people. So I'm a hardworking guy. I have a good work ethic. Like I said, I come from an athletic background. So grinding every day, working, I just thought, okay, I got to take that mentality into what I'm doing now. And so at the beginning, I worked with everybody for free.
And anybody. And
anybody.
A lot of free.
A lot of free shoots. Now, with that, you know, it is a lot.
And then let me just ask, How long ago? And I'm just asking just because how long Instagram's been around. And
2 years ago.
2 years. Okay.
2 years ago. So this is all very recent.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, it's just grinding. It really is grinding, and having a good understanding of social media. Because like I said, in my old job, I did social media there.
Right.
And we would have people fly in and do events teaching us what's the do's and the don'ts. So I picked up a lot of things.
Right.
But when I started, I was shooting with everybody because I knew that was the fastest way to grow. If I work with her, she posts me, I get her traffic. I work with her, get traffic. So I was just trying to get traffic from as many places as I can. It doesn't matter if you had 5,000 followers or 50,000 followers.
And you would do this by going to their Instagram, or you'd be...
Yeah, I would go to their Instagram.
You'd message them, hey, I'm a new...
It's not always about messaging, because some people check their messages constantly, some people don't.
Right.
So it's just a matter of getting on their radar. And by that, I mean, throw them, 5 likes on some photos. And if they respond, okay, you got a response. Maybe leave some comments. Maybe share their posts to your account saying like, wow, I really like the aesthetic of this photo. One day, does anybody want to shoot this look with me? And then you might get some traction that way. So there's just a lot of open-ended questions you can ask in social media, and you never know what will come from it.
I like that.
So like I've shared girls with 10 million followers. I'd share some of their content. And then surprisingly, they're like, hey, thanks for sharing. We should shoot sometime. Oh, that wasn't even the plan, but yeah, let's do it.
It was, but not completely.
Yeah.
So awkward.
Yeah. Kind of backdooring it in a sense. So yeah, just do all that stuff. Don't be overbearing with it. I know some guys just hammer, hey, let's shoot, comments, DMs. And that can be a little off-putting to some. So I just try to keep it really mellow. If I don't get a response from somebody, that's fine. On to the next. There's so many people out there that want to work.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, that's how it was, grinding. And then it got to a point where like, okay, I'm getting a lot of inquiries to shoot. I can start charging a day rate. And that's when I decided to upgrade my equipment. I went from the iPhone to a little Sony CyberShot.
Really? But you started with your iPhone?
Yeah, because the
portrait
wife,
mode?
The wife, she just need, hey, can you take these pictures real quick? So I would get it and I would take her pictures and she would always critique me like, get down low, get here, get this angle, get this lighting.
Yeah.
So, all that drilled into my head. I was like, okay, well, the iPhone's good, but maybe I should get a camera. And so we went with the Sony CyberShot, which is a tiny little portable because we were traveling and I just
with
thought,
the expandable lens.
Right, yeah. And that was fun at the beginning. I was like, okay, I kind of just got the feeling of a camera in my hand,
right?
Essentially. And then also, we started incorporating a little bit of video. Now, after, I would say 3 months of that, I just thought, okay, I need to step my game up because the quality isn't where I want it to be.
Right.
And then that's when I bought a Sony A7R III. And that's when I really fine-tuned my skills. I went from basically shooting auto to shooting manual and just learning all the settings and what they do.
But auto's so easy. I'm kidding.
You'd be surprised. There are some professionals out there that do shoot on auto. It's just there's value in photographer's eye as far as like aesthetic, positioning, what looks right as far as maybe hair, makeup, their clothing, whatever they're wearing. Some photographers don't have that, but they have the technical side down.
Yeah.
So it's hard to have all of the, skills it takes to produce amazing content. So I don't really devalue people who shoot on auto because they probably have, they're better at other things in the same kind of category.
My issue is I'm pretty amazing what I can do with an iPhone. My photography with an iPhone's it's legit.
Oh yeah,
I get compliments all the time.
Yeah, and you could shoot in RAW on your iPhone.
But I can't duplicate it on a camera. So I think I'm having a lens issue. I think I don't know the technical part. I am sitting in auto, but it's strange because I could take a picture of you with an iPhone and you'd be like, nice. Wow, you probably be like, this is garbage. But like other people would be like, this is nice.
Yeah. So I'm guessing you do portrait mode. And
I do
face.
Portrait mode. I always get the right lighting. I always get a good angle. Mm-hmm. But I can't duplicate. I think it's the lens because I'm not getting what is it called? Bokeh?
The bokeh.
I'm not getting the right bokeh on a lot of my shots.
Yeah, prime lens. That's not a prime lens.
No, this is their new compact lens.
Yeah. But I mean, I think there might be an AV mode on there that you can probably do, and it would bring out that bokeh if that's what you're going for.
Yeah. What's AV?
It's a special mode for the Sonys. It's not manual.
Right.
It's just like an auto mode that just makes the background creamy for subjects in front. You just capture the subject closest to the camera.
So it's just it's a setting.
It's just a setting. Yeah. There's a ton of things that camera can do. That's amazing.
I know.
You could do double exposure with that camera in camera. So like, because I'm looking at your motorcycle photos, right? You could take that shot and then it would hold it, and then you could take another shot and it would layer it. So you can layer these two photos. It would be awesome. Like you can make one a little bit darker and a little bit lighter, and it would just be, it's great. I love to do like a small subject like this, and then you have a big subject like you, and it really plays well. It's really what I do. It's like big and then something small. It's pretty dynamic.
Yeah, this photographer is actually really good. Like he's done a bunch of photo shoots. He focuses a lot on motorcycles. I mean, he does product placement and everything else.
We all do
but
that stuff.
Yeah.
I want to get into like the motion, getting in the back of someone's truck and shooting someone while I'm in the back of the truck. A motorcycle, I do want to do like a girl on a guy's back riding, and me in a car, but it's just a lot of, you got to put a lot of things,
moving parts.
Yeah, you got to get a guy to drive you. You got to get a guy with a nice motorcycle. You got to get a good model. You got to get her comfortable on the bike, topless.
Right.
I mean, it's a lot of variables there that you got to.
I got a few motorcycles.
Yeah.
I have access to more motorcycles, and I know a lot of riders too.
Yeah. Next time I'm back in California.
Next time you're in California, the last photo shoot we did with the same photographer. It was in Palmdale. Like just the the desert roads
that's
and
perfect.
stuff. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Or off the like 15 or something like that.
Yeah, where you don't really have to think about traffic too much. So there's
especially during the week or something.
There's so much that goes into it. Not only just like location, but then traffic and then the time of day. It's a lot.
And I apologize. Back to the process and
So and then maybe diving into more of what I do when I work with somebody. I have my own in-home studio. That is just looks straight out of Pinterest, essentially. Jenna's an interior designer.
Oh, awesome.
So our place is always dialed. Every spot I can shoot at in my studio. I also have, the seamless backdrop. If a girl comes in and she wants to do some fancy studio as far as like a white backdrop or a colored backdrop, I can do all that. I have all the lighting for that set up. So I kind of give them, when they first walk in, they're like, wow, this place is really nice. So I recommend when you do shoot with someone, that wow factor, essentially, like right off the bat, it will encourage a model or talent to want to bring their A game. Right. Because some of these girls, they got 1 million followers. They're like doing us a favor by letting us shoot them. And they come in with attitudes. But if you give them something that like impresses them, they're like, okay, I'll work for you. So that's what I like to do essentially. So they'll come in. My place is spotless. It looks amazing. I have music going. And they just already are just like, okay, I'm good.
You set the mood.
I set the mood. I'll have a rack of options to wear for as far as like clothing, whether it's lingerie, bikinis, even robes. I mean, I have a bunch of clothing that they can choose from if they don't bring any.
Right.
And then the shoots usually are. This is just in my studio, like an hour to 2 hours. I tell them,
and do you charge by hour?
I have a day rate. I just say day rate.
Yeah.
And that's usually 3 to 4 looks, depending on how fast they want to work. And what's unique about what I do is I send all the raw content essentially the same day, so that they're really happy about that. They get to see the photos right away, and they get to tell me which photos they want edited for social media. Right. So that's kind of how I present my content to them.
And what do you use to send photos?
Our cameras, we can shoot JPEGs and RAW at the same time on a card.
That's amazing.
So I have it set up for JPEG and RAW, and this way I can just take the card out and just plug it into my computer and send it via Dropbox right away.
Nice.
Sometimes I do some processing in camera by just flipping through all the photos, and if a girl's got their eyes closed, I'll just erase it. That's just the minimal processing that I do. And so by the time they get home, they have all the photos, and A, they're like super happy because they get the photos, and B, they're like, oh, I can't wait to work again. So I'm just planting seeds like, oh, this guy works really fast. And also I work really fast at home because I've got all my skills pretty dialed. So I can jump from natural light, to strobes, to intense shadow highlights. I can jump around and do it all really fast.
That's awesome.
And so then when they get the Dropbox, I say, all right, you paid for, 14 edits essentially, and then just send me the 14, and then they send them to me, and then I edit them, and then that's it. Usually takes a day to do about 14 photos for them.
How many shoots are you averaging now a month?
Well, it has definitely changed, because I used to just take on shoots willy-nilly. Bring it on. If I'm available, I can shoot with you. But I've learned that taking on a lot of work led to me being a little bit unorganized, or not as organized as I want to be, because I like to handle one job and finish it before I move on to the next. Right. And I was just getting like, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it would pile up. So what I learned was, okay, I'm just going to start traveling and hosting shoots and having everybody come to me. And this way I can stay a little bit more organized. It's a little more compact as far as my schedule and my timing. So I got into I would say 3 months ago, I started traveling. I go to Vegas. I announce I'm going to Vegas a month before. And then all the DMs come in. Hey, I want to book a spot. Hey, I want to book a spot. What's your rate? I have my, basically my format saved of what I want to say. And I just send them. Them all the same thing. And they say, great, I want to book. And then now I have my schedule, and I say, okay, do you want to come, Monday at 2 p.m.? Yes, got it. Fill it in. I get a deposit, and then I fill my schedule. And then a month later, I'm there shooting. And I'll usually shoot between 14 and 20 models in like a 3-day period.
Wow.
And then this way, I have all my content. I'll usually
in 3 days, 14 models, and you deliver all their photos the same day.
If the location has good Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the locations don't have good Wi-Fi, and
Vegas usually has good Wi-Fi. No, but yeah.
Yeah, Vegas worked. I was in New Orleans. New Orleans didn't have good Wi-Fi at the place I was staying at. So it takes a couple of days. Right. But they're still really happy and content. Now, when I do send out the content, these cameras these days are so good that I would say 75% of the models that I give them my work, they just start posting right away.
Yeah.
And I'm not offended.
Without the edit.
Without edits. Because they're that strong. They're that sharp. They look exactly the way they want to look. And they've never really seen themselves on that type of camera, that type of file, like just so crispy and sharp.
Yeah.
So they just start posting right away. And that's essentially less work for me.
Right.
If they're not asking for edits and waiting.
But not only that, but that's what you paid for too, know, because these things you could easily spend $5,000, $7,000, even more.
My setup is about $8,000. So
I'm sure.
That's just, and
what lens are you using?
So right now,
what lens would you recommend for like motorcycles and then mostly portraits?
Okay. So I updated from the Sony system to the Canon system, and I went, just because a lot of the guys that I looked up to on social media, or just the photographers that I look up to, they're all using Canon. So I'm like, okay, if I want to get to that level, I should probably start using what they're using.
But are they using Canon because they've been in it for a lot longer?
Yeah,
or are they using Canon because it's so superior?
Oh, I think Canon's a little bit superior as far as photography.
Yeah.
When it comes to video, Sony is the king, I believe.
Actually, that was the turning point why I went with the Sony.
Yeah,
because I was doing video.
Perfect, and that camera is perfect. So I have this Canon R5. It shoots in 8K, which is amazing. So that means like some of these big movie productions, they want to shoot in a location where they can't bring in their huge production teams or big cameras. They can literally handhold it and just kind of get what they need and then bounce out.
You're right.
I mean, those cameras are so tack sharp with their video. But with that said, batteries last 15 minutes on 8K if you're running it.
Yeah, and a lot of systems don't play 8K.
Yeah, and it's not. Yeah,
we're not ready for it.
Not yet.
100%.
But I do know that Netflix is streaming now, and Hulu's starting to stream in 4K, so that's good.
Yeah,
it's nice to see. But back to what cameras, I mean, whatever's affordable, whatever you can use, essentially start with that.
Yeah, I was, how much is it people really just complicating it for themselves? Like I need this camera, I need this lens before I could even get a career charge.
Right. I think it's a little bit overhyped with the gear. I think it takes a minute to really dial in what you're trying to do with your content creation. Right. Because if you're trying to get photos like me, let's say, I would just say learn your settings first. Learn how lighting works first. And you can do that with any camera because they all have manual modes in this day and age pretty much. If you have like $700, you can get something decent, and you could literally produce the same content I do with that camera. If somebody gave me this camera, I could do what I shoot with this camera.
How much is this lighting and? I mean, I don't even know how to ask this question.
Yeah.
How much is it lighting? How much is
natural
aperture,
light, and this is a strobe here.
This one in the middle is natural light too.
Natural light, yeah. So that was,
and I saw your YouTube channel, which we'll get into your real quick. Where's your links and Instagram, social media?
You can check me out on Instagram at Sebi Raw, Sebi_Raw, SEBBY_Raw, RAW, raw as in, I'm shooting in camera raw, which gives you the best. It's the most information that a picture can get when you shoot in RAW. It's a bigger file, so with that comes, you got to have some storage space.
Right.
So if you're going to shoot in RAW,
how much bigger is it?
Wait, significantly larger.
Is it like 10 times larger?
Oh yeah, 10 times larger. And this way you can manipulate the pictures any way you want. And by that I mean colors. You can change any type of color. Whereas if you're shooting in JPEG, the information is limited to what you basically see. So you can just change the hues, the saturation in the colors. But if you want dramatic colors, you can obviously shoot in RAW. And then I process my photos with Lightroom and Photoshop and Capture One. And but yeah, definitely shoot in RAW. you
ever done magazines?
I've done them all.
Yeah.
Playboy, Penthouse, Hustler.
Oh, really?
I've been published in all of them. Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
But like I said, all this stuff can be shot with any cameras. I have buddies who have old cameras and they're producing just as good content. And then today,
is it more the camera or the lens?
It's the lens, definitely. If you have a camera body that you really enjoy the interface changing and you like the way it looks, yeah, just spend some money on a nice lens and you'll see a difference right away. But this has a Zeiss camera lens. That's still really, really solid.
Yeah.
It's just the aperture. It goes to f4. Mine goes to f2, which means in low light situations, it doesn't look
really good.
Yeah, it looks great.
I'm usually in good lighting spots.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably my settings.
Yeah.
If I get that, I'd be solid. I'd be happy.
Yeah. You just got to learn the camera too. It takes a little bit of time to learn your system,
right.
But you'll get the hang of it.
And if I get a lens, which one would you recommend?
For the Sony, I would say the G Master 2470. It's a little bit bigger lens. You do have some focal length, so you can zoom in and out.
But that's a good all-around lens.
That's a good all-around lens. You'll get great portraits with that. I feel like that's a prime lens, essentially. It's Sony's best lens. And that's what I learned on. So I recommend
like $3,000 or something, right?
Yeah, I think it's like
24.
20. Yeah, 24. The one thing I did notice with the Sonys that I don't have a problem with the Canons is that dust. You get a lot of dust in Sony cameras because the sensor, when you take the lens off, I don't know about this camera, but the sensor is exposed.
Yeah.
So with the Canon, they have a shutter that closes over the sensor when you pull off the lens.
So their mirrorless still has a shutter.
Yeah, there's no dust or any particles that can get in there.
This one's exposed. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember my very first shoot in Los Angeles, and my wife, she had like 6 or 7 girlfriends coming over to shoot. And it was my very first shoot, and I was on my Sony. And these girls all had like over 1 million followers. And I was so intimidated and so nervous. But I went about it like I knew what I was doing, even though I had no idea what I was doing. And when I get back home and I look at the pictures, man, they were just so bad. And I felt like kind of guilty because, man, these girls are expecting top-notch quality. I had 100 followers at the time.
Right.
And then I noticed that all of my photos had dust specks all over them. So I just was so embarrassed. Like, all right, here's your content. And they're like, why are there like little black spots on my face? And I was like, oh yeah, that's the dust on my lens that I didn't know I had to clean.
Yeah, because it was on your face, okay?
Yeah, oh man.
But it's
exactly.
the same pattern in all my pictures.
Yeah, the same dust was on all of the pictures. All 1,000 photos are just like, oh my gosh.
I did, one of my buddies was asking, he went to a few of these properties around here, and he was like, hey, Robert, can you take some, photos? And I was like, yeah, for sure. And I had a Canon. Anyways, auto. But I had the wrong focal points, or it'd be like focus on this, but then the rest of the picture was blurry.
Right.
So when I turned, when I gave him all the photos, they were all blurry.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he asked me, it was like big favor, and he was submitting it as a real estate project. And I was like, dude, they're all fucked up.
But it's crazy because like real estate photography is a lot different than, what I do, portraits and fashion.
100%.
With real estate,
or landscape, or
with real estate, you shoot 3 different exposures. So you shoot really, really high, and that will get you like the framing of windows or doors, and that's all you see. And then you shoot like at a perfect exposure, which will get you everything that's kind of close to you. And then you shoot a really dark exposure that will get you what you see through the windows or whatever you can see through whatever's in frame. Right. And then you stack them and you layer them. And then that will give you everything is clear. Everything. So wherever you want you're essentially getting focus in 3 different layers, and then you stack them, and then you erase.
Stay in the same shot the whole time. Yeah.
So real estate, you got to be on a tripod all the time when you shoot, because you stack photos and you got to have them on the same plane. Everyone, yeah, little things you learn all the time.
With all the auto modes that these cameras have, how? And again, I know you just shoot in RAW, but how beneficial is it to still shoot in RAW? Because these things do a great job by themselves, right?
Right. Like I said, I think,
is it a preference, or?
I think it's a preference to the photographer. If they're doing it as a profession, it's like, yeah, get your own, dial in your style, because there's a lot of things you could do manually that you can't really do auto.
Right.
As far as color, you can change your colors. You can have a cool blue on all of your photos. And if you're shooting auto, it doesn't do that. It picks the best white balance for the situation with all the sensors it has on it, and it kind of just decides for you.
Yeah.
So I've learned to shoot. I shoot in Kelvin temperature. I just have my temperature set at 5,500, and that way all my photos are consistent. Whereas if someone shoots in auto balance, that's just automatically generated by the camera, there could be some inconsistencies in the photos. If you're moving around different locations, they may look different. And then when you're trying to deliver something, people will be like, why are some of them different colors than others? I was like, oh, well, I can fix that in post. I hated saying that. I just thought, okay, well, how do I do it where they're all the same? And someone's like, oh, just put it on Kelvin, and you can just set the temperature at whatever you want. And I leave it at 5,500 because that's what my strobes run off of, 5,500.
Right.
And that gives me just like a warm, neutral tone. And this way, when I do my color adjustments in post-production, I can just do it on one photo and then just apply it to all the photos, just sync it so that they all have the same colors. Whereas I used to do that before, sync one, I would get my colors for one photo, sync the rest of them, but they would be different. There would be variants in some of them. So it's just like, I didn't like that. That's what I learned.
So I've been recording a lot, and I noticed because of this lighting, I get a yellow tint kind of like, and then with the wood and everything else, it looks yellowish. So now I put the lights on just white to try to avoid that. But I could probably do that just with camera settings.
You can do it in camera easily. I can show you. Okay. Pretty easy.
Okay.
Yeah. But these,
they don't help.
Yeah, they don't help.
They don't help.
It's cool to maybe have in background of photos, just to get a little different color. Yeah. And sometimes I'll have the overhead lights.
You know what? Hold on. I'm going to turn them off. Midway.
Yeah, and then you can see.
Is that too dark?
I don't think it's dark. Do you?
No. I'm talking about, for the camera.
No. That's great. This is what, LEDs lights are what everybody uses. Right. On TV sets, in podcast studios. This is all they're using. So I think you'd be good with that, and then this way you can tweak it wherever you want.
So what's next for you? Where's the next big travel, and what's your calendar look for?
Yeah, I had
and what's going on with your YouTube? I know I'm asking you a lot of questions. It's just exciting.
Yeah. So the YouTube, it's fun, and I was really getting into it, and then I moved. I left Austin, and I had my video guy working with me, and so now it's just a matter of me finding the right person to kind of film me, and then work with me on editing a video, and that it just with what I do, it's tough to find good, honest work, like helpers essentially, because I've had so many people offer and ask me to come help on a shoot, but their professionalism is never there.
Right.
And even if I pay a guy from an agency to come help me, I see him in the corner. Well, the girl's getting changed. talking to her, getting her number. Hey, can I get a selfie? Texting her after the shoot. And then I'll have the girls messaging me saying like, hey, your assistant is texting me. Why?
Yeah, it's an issue.
It's just an issue. And I get that a lot.
I had a friend of mine, he did a fashion show in Palm Springs, and I was helping him out. And, you know, like, it's a fashion shoot. These girls are changing, and they don't even care. Once they're behind the back, they're just,
Yeah.
And, you know, there was people that couldn't, you know, they didn't know how to act.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, guys, you know, step out or.
So it's difficult to find the right team. And I had a great group of guys that I worked with in Austin, but, you know, as I get all these followers, more people want to. It's just I had to break away, and then they moved to the West Coast, and so now it's kind of at a standstill. But the photography thing is doing great. Now, with that said, I had planned. I mean, I hit Vegas, New Orleans, Los Angeles, Austin, just in the last 2 months, and I've shot I think close to 50 models. And my next shoot was going to be in Miami next month, but we recently purchased a house. So now it's kind of like, let's move in, let's get settled down. We're moving in June, end of June. So it's coming up. Yeah. And we're selling our place now, our condo now. So it's a lot of moving parts. So I didn't really want to plan anything too far ahead. Just let's get settled in the new place, and then I'll get back to it. But I have plenty of work to keep me busy in the meantime.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I was thinking when you described your home, how your wife decored every corner. I picture like a casino, like the Cosmopolitan, where it's like every corner.
Oh yeah.
Or the Wynn. You know, you can grab a camera and just
anywhere,
and it's just a perfect shot.
Yeah. So that's how our new place, hopefully is going to look like, because we bought a house downtown Atlanta, but we have 4 acres.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's insane. So, I mean, it's just that our house is 200 yards from the street.
Is it better priced than California?
I mean, for what we're getting, yeah, definitely. So like I said, we're 200 yards from the street, and then our backyard goes 200 yards, and it's covered by 40-foot trees around the perimeter, and it's just a grassy knoll. We're putting in a pool, outdoor showers. So again, we're gonna get that aesthetic, so that when I do shoot there, people are gonna be like, "Wow,
that's so cool."
And with that said, the way I shoot and the way I work is always developing, and I've learned from other guys who are have a little more following than I do, what they do. And I've learned that they buy their own places and they deck them out, and then they have people come to them.
I'll give you another example of something I saw years ago, and I thought it was so fucking cool. There was a photographer in West Hollywood, and he had this warehouse, indoor, outside, with a bunch of different sets.
Yes.
And I thought it was so awesome. And I was like, hey, this is beautiful. And he goes, yeah, what's the best part? And I'm like, what's that? He goes, I have a relationship with universities, and I get interns. And the interns, like for this beach set, they get the benches, they get the sand, they get the palm trees.
Amazing.
They decor each section
That's
of
what
the
I
warehouse.
need to do.
Yeah. And all they need is a credit.
Yeah.
So they're doing it for that credit, and every few months I'll have a new set and a new scene.
Incredible.
And I'm like, dude,
that's such a great idea. You got to find ideas like that.
Of course.
It's money. So yeah, so hopefully with the new property, I mean,
you get interns.
I'm going to get interns. I'm going to have them set up a bunch of different shoot locations, and I'm just going to start hosting stuff at my place.
Why Atlanta?
Well, that's where my wife's from, Atlanta.
She's originally from?
Because
I heard also a lot of movies and TV shows.
So many
everything.
production companies.
Isn't Walking Dead filmed there?
Yes. Stranger Things on Netflix is being filmed. Black Adam, The Rock lives there.
The Rock lives in Atlanta.
And he's filming there right now.
That's crazy.
So there's a ton of movie studios out there, TV production companies. And, I've West Coast, I'm from here. So I've tapped into it. I feel like I know a lot of people in the West Coast. So it's time to remove myself from this situation and get into a different market, just to expand, just to get my name out in a different part of the country. And it's been working. I mean, I'm working with a lot of East Coast people that I never thought I'd ever work with before.
That's so cool.
So it's just a matter. And then I started in Austin. That's central of the country. So I'm just trying to be all over the place.
All right. So wait a minute. We West Coast, then you went to the Central, now the East Coast.
Yeah.
So where's Sebi in 5 years from now?
I know, right? Well, it would be nice if traveling the world would be easier. And obviously with COVID, there's a lot of restrictions.
Easy. They say, but it's pretty easy. I mean, there's a handful of countries that still want that 14-day quarantine, which...
Yeah. There's also people are nervous, hesitant, like, oh, I haven't started shooting in other countries because I have a lot of talent from Australia. Are you ever going to come to Australia? I was like, yeah, I'll come, but then I'll reach out to some girls and, hey, if I come, would you shoot? Like, well, I'm not really shooting yet right now, yada, yada. So I still feel like we're a few months away from everyone being comfortable with me working wherever. But yeah, that's what I want to do.
Which is crazy, because if you just focus just in the United States, you have work for the rest of your children's life.
Oh, definitely. It's just interesting though, like you said, like, where do you see yourself? Because, when I first started, I was like, oh, I want to shoot for Sports Illustrated, I want to shoot for Vogue. But then I talked to the photographers who do that, and I'm making way more money than they are doing what I'm doing.
And more freedom.
I don't answer to anybody. And they've got, all the directors and producers, and they got timelines, and I just do it all myself. I schedule everything myself. I pick the locations myself, and I decide who I want to work with. And that's kind of it. Whereas opposed to this guy who's, shooting celebrities, he's waiting around, waiting for the celeb to show up, doesn't show up, doesn't get paid. It's a lot that goes into it. It's like, do I want to live that life? Or do I want to live this fun, comfortable, easygoing, I set my own, times, that life? And I make more.
It's so strange how you have to convince people to understand that.
Yeah, it
definitely
you have
to. You were a victim of that, 2 years ago, where you're just like, oh,
exactly.
Or a year ago, a year ago, right?
Yeah.
But now you're in it and you're like, dude, this is the greatest feeling in the world.
Yeah. Everyone tells me, you're living the dream. I'm just like, well, it's hard work also.
Oh, for sure.
What a lot of people don't know is like, I'm constantly addressing my body, because it's a lot of bending over. It's a lot of moving. Just think about doing squats, just body weight squats for 8 hours.
Right.
It gets, I track my calories, and I'm burning like 5,000 calories. I'm running around all day, and most of the times I don't have an assistant. So I'm picking up my lighting, moving it, holding a reflector, holding my heavy ass camera in my hand. It's a lot.
No, I get it. Especially, same thing when I do a podcast on the road. I'm taking all these mics. I'm taking, that briefcase, the other briefcase, the cameras. Yeah. It's a process. Do you think you'll ever get to that point where, like I'm going to give you options. Mm-hmm. Do you visualize having an agency and having a bunch of photographers in your agency, or do you visualize hiring a crew that will travel with you, like assistants and stuff like that? Or do you want to do it yourself because you love the experience?
Yeah, I like to tell people, like, do it yourself at the early stages of your career. This way you can learn. Okay, I like to do it this way. I like to hold a reflector this certain way, so that when you do build out a team, you can instruct, like, okay, this is what I like. Do it this way, instead of just like, I don't know how to do that lighting, just set it up for me. No, I like to learn everything from scratch. Now, with that said, yeah, I would love to have some quality assistants in Georgia that when somebody hires me at a significant rate, I can essentially hire my crew of guys and be like, okay, let's help me with lighting, or help me. And it's nothing crazy. Those guys come for the experiences mostly, to meet these like high-end influencers and give a good impression, so that maybe in the future they can work with them or continue to work with me. But yeah, I do hope to have, like, I am working with a few video guys now that I kind of like, okay, they send me their content back. It's top notch and nice guys, very professional. I find that in Los Angeles more than I did in Austin.
Right.
Because in Austin it was more of a hobby, and when I'm in Los Angeles and these guys come to work with me, it's younger guys, first of all. 21, 22, as opposed to in Austin, it was like late 30s, early 40s guys.
Right.
And these kids are just so knowledgeable at such a young age, and so professional, and I'm learning from them, or as opposed to what everywhere else, people are kind of learning from me, and I'm giving a lot of information away, which I love to do. But when I'm here, it's just like, man, this kid is 22 and he's teaching me things that like I never even thought of. And it's so valuable to me because I can retain that valuable information and apply it, which I'm like waiting to do. So hopefully I do get to a point where every shoot I can offer when somebody asks like, hey, I want to do a shoot with you. I'll have some options. like, yeah, we can do 3 to 4 looks. Like I said, we can get you like 1,000 photos delivered right away. Or also, you know, if you want video, like, you know, just tack on whatever. And I'll bring a video guy. He'll film the whole thing. He'll get you whatever you want. You want IG videos, you want OnlyFans videos, whatever you want, we can film that for you too.
That's
so
awesome.
it's just a matter of having like basically a menu of options
to offer people.
Yeah, and that's what I want to do. I want to have people that like right off the bat I can just hire.
And then I saw where the subscriptions. Okay, OnlyFans. I'm sure everybody knows OnlyFans.
Yeah, OnlyFans. So OnlyFans with the OnlyFans and the Cheeky.
What's Cheeky?
Cheeky's just another subscription-based platform.
Like OnlyFans?
Like OnlyFans. I shoot so much. Like I said, I'll shoot, you know, a girl 1,000 photos.
Yeah.
And she wants 3 of them for her Instagram, but there's a bunch left. And I know that this is quality content, so it has to live somewhere. So I just throw it up on there, and if people want to see the rest of the shoot,
because if you do a photo shoot, she's wearing 5 outfits. Out of the 5 outfits of the pictures, she'll probably pick out maybe 2 outfits of each one for the next 2 months. And then
you have all that other content. The girls will use it on their OnlyFans.
On the nose.
Yeah. But I will just be like, all right, how can I use it? And then I just put it there, and so people can come see the rest of the shoot. Because these girls have tons of fans, and they want to see all their content.
Right.
The OnlyFans is...
but I always thought, I go, fuck, man, that's so much work to do, to maintain an Instagram account and, you know, then an OnlyFans. And then
tons. It's a full-time job. It's a full-time job.
A full-time job.
Yeah,
but
social media is a full-time job. That does pay really, really well if you stay on top of it.
Yeah.
With the OnlyFans, some models, they don't want to pay my day rate. And that's when I say, okay, well, let's trade. So if they're going to shoot nude, they'll let me post it on my platforms.
Got it.
Some girls, if you reach out to them and like, hey, I want to do a nude shoot, the girls have a rate. Like, all right, if you want to shoot me nude, here's my rate. And then you can keep the content and do whatever you want with it. And then some girls, hey, let's just trade. And so no money is exchanged, but I can sell their content essentially. That's not with everyone.
Right.
So
but your subscription's free.
Yeah, it's free. So I basically, it's like an Instagram. It's a scrolling page where you can see, but now I just post censored content. I'll post them in their bikinis, knowing like, hey, if you want to see this girl topless, implied, nude, you know, send me a message, and then I can further charge.
Right.
So there's like you can put you can put it behind a paywall inside the free OnlyFans.
But they'll still see different stuff on
different
OnlyFans compared to your Instagram.
Right. Just very censored. I mean, just like I said, just bikini picture. I still make it my style, but it's not like the goods. Those are behind paywalls.
How crazy is I trip on Instagram, like how picky they are, but how picky they're not. Like if you just blur one blur box, that's it. You could show a whole.
Oh yeah, I don't know what it is.
Have you had issues with that at all?
Yeah, I have a lot of issues. I've had photos taken down that shouldn't have been taken down. There's a lot of jealous people out there.
Yeah.
A lot of people who think this is a competition, and it definitely isn't. So, I mean, an example I can say is I was recently in Austin, and I have a friend. I have a lot of friends there, but one model in particular, she just like exclusively likes to work with me. It's not that that's her way, but she's like, I just like your style. You get me everything that I need. And I just don't really want to work with anybody else. So it rubs a lot of people in Austin the wrong way. And I went and I worked with her, and we just amazing content. And the last photo I took of her, I edited and I sent it to her, and I posted it on my page, and she posted it on her page, and it was her best performing piece of content ever. Wow. I mean, ever. And it was a strong edit. And I posted it on my page. I got taken down in 30 minutes.
Really?
Yes, and it's still on her page, and a lot of other pages picked it up and were posting it. So
everybody was reposting it, but the original,
like me, got taken out. Now, what that means is there's a lot of guys out in Austin who were reporting it.
Right.
They're jealous that I got to work with her, or I'm still working with her, and like, salty. Let me just report this for nudity, and there was no nudity in it.
Right.
And then it got taken down. I'm just like, okay, whatever.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, just keep going on.
Keep going.
It's a blow to the algorithm essentially for me. It's like, okay, well, they're not going to send my content out to as many of my followers as I did before or prior to my post getting taken down. So I'm essentially in timeout from Instagram for 2 weeks. Now there's ways to overcome that by utilizing all of the tools that these social media platforms offer.
Right.
Meaning go on the story, start asking questions on, like they have like polls and questions, and you got to use all that crap.
All those
Geotag, add the temperature, add the sticker, add a location. I mean, you got to put your face, start filming yourself talking to Instagram. They want start teaching. I'll teach when I'm in timeout. I'll kind of like, all right, let me teach you how to edit, and so I'll just run through edits, and then that's when I bounce back a little bit faster.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Whereas people just like, we'll just post pictures and that's it. Like, no, you got to go a little bit further.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that.
A lot of people are.
Now with the video, I'm like trying to put clips of the video, and
Right.
you know, I'm trying to tag everybody, and you know,
You should film yourself like editing and be like, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is, you know, this is all the tools that I'm using. People love that stuff. Like, just film your studio for a segment.
Right.
And you can put it on, like, let's just say your Reels or your IGTV, where it's not necessarily living on your account, on your homepage, but it's there. And so the algorithm appreciates you using those other Reels and IGTVs, and it helps. It boosts your engagement to other people.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm
But this
sure.
stuff, this technical stuff is very valuable because Instagram does lean towards the people who are teaching.
Right.
So always try to throw in a little teaching. I do like once a week. I try to do something.
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
And I know you're flying out today. Two more questions.
Yeah.
One, what would you recommend to an upcoming new photographer?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, how to be in certain, you
Right.
know, situations. And then what advice would you give to all the models that, you know, like, hey, if you're a model, don't do this, don't do that, or you
Okay.
should do this, or, you know.
Okay. So for new and upcoming photographers, I think, you know, at the beginning, just kind of stay in your lane, essentially. If you have less than 1,000 followers, don't shoot for the stars right away. Don't ask these girls with 50,000 followers, hey, do you want to shoot? Because they get that all the time. Like,
Right.
start with maybe, you know, your friend, your neighbor. She's got a cute smile. Say, hey, can I take some portraits of you? So start small, reach out to small accounts, and build your portfolio. This way, when you ask people and they look at your stuff, like, oh, okay, it's not bad. Not only focus on your photography, but also focus on editing. Because I think once guys or girls get a camera and they start shooting, they just focus on getting a picture and then posting it. But a lot more goes into it. Also focus just as hard on your editing skills, because that can really separate you from a beginning photographer to an advanced photographer. So stay in your lane, obviously. When you do shoot with someone, don't take a ton of their time. Like, I know some guys will shoot 8 hours with a girl, 6 hours, and I'm just like, gosh.
So torturing.
Yeah, it's torture for them, and they don't see it. They think, oh, yeah, I'm hanging out with a hot chick, you know?
Yeah.
It's like they think that too, and they know, and they're never going to want to work with you again after that day. So keep it short at the beginning. Build some camaraderie with these models. This way, in the future, you can hit them back up, and they won't have like a bad taste in their mouth about the previous shoot they did with you.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah. So keep it keep it short, because again, these girls, the time, you know, they're always on their phones. They're always on the move. They always got stuff going on.
Right.
So their attention
And
span.
they're getting hit by hit up by 1,000 photographers.
Oh yeah, and
daily.
just so many opportunities are thrown at them. So if you do get them, like, if you can keep it short and sweet, that's why I try to knock out 3 to 4 looks in an hour. Because if this look didn't turn out good, we always have these other looks to lean back on, and I know that they're good. So try to mix, when you do shoot with someone, ask them to bring a couple looks so you can get, you know, variations in your photography, and then don't take too much of their time. And then again, work with people that are, you know, similar followings until you start growing. And don't charge right away. Don't ask a girl to shoot and you have 300 followers and be like, oh, my rate is $700. Like, come on, dude. You want to give them a little. You want to give them a little more incentive to work with you, because if I post a picture, I know that girl's probably going to get 5,000 followers if I post her on my page, as opposed to if you post them on your 300. They're
gonna lose.
Yeah, they're gonna lose followers.
They're gonna go negative.
Yeah,
but pretty much.
So yeah, just, you know, and then be professional, man. No, I like to keep all of my conversations on the platform that we made first contact with, because, man, you get their numbers. The day of the shoot, you don't save their number, and then you just got a bunch of numbers you're texting, like, who was that? And you got to look back at your text string, like, what were we talking about? But if you keep it on, like, let's say DMs, you have their name, their handle right there, and you know exactly what you're talking about.
So you do all your messaging and all messaging conversations.
Yeah. Also, don't mention when you're talking. Social media platforms, they see everything, and they have certain words that they flag.
Yeah.
So don't be on Instagram in the DMs talking about like nude photography. Nude is a word that's flagged. Don't say OnlyFans, because that's a word that's flagged. And
they're like competition.
Yeah, no. Yeah, they just will not. They see all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I avoid even dollar signs. I avoid. I just write the number. I don't say, $400. No, I just put 400.
Right.
Because I want to avoid things that look bad to the platform.
Aren't you worried they're going to pay you like 400 pesos?
Well, maybe girls from Mexico City, but I'd take it. And then as far as like models when they're coming on set, like
what bothers you that you'd be like,
what bothers me is when girls aren't fully prepared for shoots. And by that I mean I've had girls come like, oh, I was supposed to get these extensions done or my hair done and I couldn't get it done, so I put in these Amazon clip-ins. It's just like, girl, your hair looks awful. It looks so bad, but you're paying me.
Right.
And it's just like, just being unprepared. Or when a girl comes and, I would say 95% of girls will bring a suitcase or carry-on bag and open up their stuff. Be a little organized, just a little bit. I know it's a tall order to be like super organized, but don't come up and open your suitcase and it explodes.
Right.
And like, what do you want to shoot? I don't know. Have some type of clue of what you want to get done. What do you want to accomplish? Like, what
look are you going for?
Yeah, like I have this in my luggage that I've been wanting to shoot forever. Yeah, bring that. Don't just say, oh, just pick whatever you want.
Like, because it's their work. It's their
profession.
Well, what do you?
Yeah, it's like what?
It's only going to benefit the model,
right? Not just like, pick whatever you want. I'm like, oh, okay. And then also if it's a come hair and makeup ready. Come hair and makeup ready. Don't show up at the time and then take an hour to do your own hair and makeup. That means I'm sitting around doing nothing.
Right.
So if it's stated before, like, to be prepared, and don't come late. Oh, that's late, and then canceling last minute. Oh, that's the worst.
But you charge up front, right?
So yeah, I usually charge a deposit. But even now, I'm learning. Some of these girls are so popular and they're making so much money that the deposit is nothing to them, so they can cancel. Like, I had one cancellation on this trip, and this girl, she drove an hour to come see me. She flew in to Orange County, and I was shooting in LA, and she sent me a screenshot, said 47 minutes away. I was like, okay, she'll be here right on time. She paid $300 to get her makeup done. And so she's driving, and then she's texting me, I can't find it. I'm lost. My Google Maps is sending me all over the place. I'm like, that's okay. That's fine. She's like, what time is the next model coming? And I said, don't worry about that, but she's coming in 2 hours. Okay. She's 30 minutes late. I still can't find it. She sends me a screen. She's half a mile away. I'm so frustrated. I can't find it, and yada, yada. I was like, you're so close. And she's like, oh, by this point, I've cried off all my makeup. I've been sitting in traffic forever. So she was frustrated. And I'm so understanding. I'm like, girl, you can come, relax. You can decompress. Don't worry about the other models. I just try to be so encouraging.
We're trying to accommodating and encouraging.
Like, we got a guest house, so you can wait there. And she was just like, no, I can't. I just can't. I'm so frustrated. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to force you to do anything you don't want to do. I'm sorry you couldn't find it. You're half a mile away and you can't find it. But do what you got to do. And she never showed up. And she essentially canceled 30 minutes after her time. And it's just like, man, that's just so. And so I lost a full day's rate from her when I had a wait list.
Right.
And she could have told me the day before, like, hey, I'm not going to make it. This way I could have filled that position. And instead, I just get a deposit and that's it. Because I keep deposits. I don't refund deposits.
And you shouldn't.
But
especially now that you're traveling, renting cars and locations.
And the locations aren't cheap. I got to make it, I have a standard or a quality that I want to shoot. So I'm not renting a guy's, apartment.
Right.
I'm renting.
Bathroom.
Like, we're just got this bathroom to work with. No, I'm renting like bigger photogenic properties with like cool features. Like this last feature had a waterfall feature onto essentially a man-made hill. It was covered in grass, and then a water feature coming down. It was amazing. Oh, dude, the girls were like, yes, I'm getting wet for sure. And it's just like, that was great. And it worked out fantastically. So Yeah, don't cancel.
Don't cancel.
Don't cancel.
Show up on time.
Show up on time. Don't cancel. And just try your best. Even if things are going wrong, just try your best to make it.
That's at the Four Agreements. Have you read that book?
Mm-mm.
That's one of. So the Four Agreements is do your best, never assume. I'm gonna murder the other ones. Never assume. Don't take anything personal.
Yes.
And
oh my gosh, that's a big one.
And be expigate. No, be like very serious with your word.
Oh yeah,
your word is like.
And I am.
Yeah,
but
those are the Four Agreements.
The other one is like don't treat this as a competition either. Like if you see somebody's work,
don't take it personal.
Yeah, don't take it personal. If someone's copying my work or like, oh yeah, I love your style, I want to mimic it, like for sure. What do you need? Well, like what do you like? I've told my process to so many up and coming photographers. I just want everybody to get better. And there are some of creators out there that will just be so offended if you are just like slightly copying, and it's just like, hey man, take it as like a good thing. They're trying to mimic your work because they value what you do so much that they want to get to that level. So don't be offended if they're trying to do that, because eventually they do get that, but they're going to change. Everyone always evolves.
Right.
Some people just get so like, no, I'm not going to tell you anything. This is my stuff. I was like, but we shoot the same camera. Like, take it easy. You know, it's all photography. We're all shooting models,
and it's making them lack and become better in life. Because if that's their focus and energy, like, oh, I got to protect this. It's like, no, man. If you teach this, or you promote it,
right?
I brought this name up a few times on this podcast, but I had Roland Sands, and he's like, this guy makes motorcycle parts, jackets, everything. But all his shit gets copied. I mean, China copies it, competitors copy it.
Right.
And to him, it's like, this means I'm doing a great job.
Yes.
And now that they copied it, I got to make something even better.
Exactly.
And it's
100%.
He sees it as an opportunity.
Same. It drives me to produce different, better content, essentially.
Yeah.
When I see people like, oh, they're starting to, let me try something else. Let me buy a new camera. Let me use film instead. I'm always trying to push my boundaries with what I can do. And those people that are like hold their styles close to heart, it's like you're not changing. You're not changing for the better. You're not progressing your skills or your talent. And I think it's always about progression in whatever you do.
Yeah, of course.
Like you got a bike, you love your bike, you've had the bike for 5 years, get a different bike, maybe do different trails, go off-roading, try something new, always. And that's kind of what I take to my photography game.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Sebastian, I'm going to say thank you. We did over an hour.
Nice.
I appreciate that I caught you before you left.
Yeah, thanks for reaching out to me.
You came out to the studio.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make, I've only been here for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Impressive.
This is going to be even crazier. I'm going to do like wood walls. And
nice.
So next time you're in LA,
I will come back.
Let me know.
All right. Thanks, Robert.
Thank you, Sebastian.